Good morning. Today we're going to talk about autographed baseballs they got at Wrigley Field from the 2016 World Series champion Chicago Cubs. The first thing you gotta know is always bring an official Major League Baseball with you to the ball game. And don't have it in the box. Have them ready to go. Put them in a Ziploc bag with a couple Big Crystal blue pens. You don't want Sharpie because look at this. This rickets, it bled over time. You can see some bleeding. But always have your stuff ready. You don't want to, sometimes your window of opportunity is only like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and you don't want a player or a VIP or a celebrity to wait. You have to be ready. Sometimes they'll only sign for 5 or 10 seconds, and you have to be at the right place at the right time and be that person. Also, it's important to be at the right spot. Sometimes, like even in Cubs convention, for example, there's a pole position spot in opening night. I got it 2 out of the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And I remember one year I got everybody on the team, and that's unheard of to get everyone. I got every star because it was the blue carpet, their version of the red carpet. And I just got the pole position. I waited there for like 6.5 hours. I did not leave. I did not give up my spot. Some people were pushing and I did not give up my spot, and I got everybody. And I was definitely the only one out of maybe 8,000 plus people, maybe 10,000 including workers, to get the whole team. I was at the pole position spot and I did not move. I sacrificed. I did not drink too many fluids. I brought granola bars. I brought my little fold-out chair that fits in. It's a really small hunting chair, not a big cheapo chair, just a little. I just brought a little $10 tripod fold-out chair, and I did not budge just because I wanted it that bad. The other thing is be ready. If you have to have your pen, your baseball, your uncapped pen, your official Major League Baseball. Don't buy those Chinese made in China baseballs. They're no good. You can't use a pen on them and they bleed. You have to have everything ready. The other thing about autographs is some kids love to budge and push, and just, you know what? If you sit there for a long time, don't let them. Just tell them to stand behind you, and then when you're done, let them go. But just because you're a kid doesn't give you a right to budge your way to the front. One thing I hate is usually mothers, they think they could just cut in front of you and they don't see you, and sometimes they do because you can't cause a scene, but sometimes they will literally push you. If they could squeeze in position and then pretend like they didn't see you, and then the players do their autographs and the mothers and their kids get the autographs and their selfie, and they see you and oh, sorry, didn't see you, and they're just the scum of the earth. But that's just life. That's just the game. After the World Series, it was so hard to get autographs, but it was so easy before. I remember Chris Bryant, you could get him almost every day before he was a superstar, as with most of that Cubs team, because there was no high demand. There were no crazy fans. I remember after the Cubs won the World Series, it was so pathetic. You'd have some 80-year-old women dressing all sexy, throwing themselves at players, thinking they still were cheerleaders from high school, thinking they could woo their way until a selfie. And it's so pathetic. When you get your selfie or your autograph, don't talk to players about your life story. There are dozens, if not 20 or 100 other people waiting and you're just being really selfish with your time. Get your autograph here, your selfie, have your camera ready or your phone ready. Don't grab everyone to get in the picture. Don't take a minute. Do your 15-20 second say thank you and get out of there. It's so rude. You are not more important than the next 100 other people in line. It's so selfish to be that way. And the other thing is be nice and respectful. Say thank you. Oftentimes players will only sign for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 fans, and they have lives too. You need to be ready, be at the right place at the right time. You can't just go up there when everybody else is going. You gotta think outside the box. You can't expect a player 30 people deep in autographs and be all upset and angry that you didn't get your autograph. I've seen some people who are not that experienced, or they didn't get their autograph, and they'll be there might be 20 other people trying to get an autograph, and they'll be like, "Hey, look at you! You make millions and you don't sign for us. You're really selfish." And I always tell that people, "Hey, be quiet, man. You're ruining it for everyone. You're gonna make them immune to signing for the rest of the year." But there's always that 1 or 2 really rude people. They think oh, players, they're making high salaries, they should sign for everyone. They're human beings just like you and me. They have emotions. I'm sure if you were on a World Series Major League Baseball team, winning team, even if you'd be thankful in the beginning when you were nobody, you'd be so sick and tired of it by the 10,000th person. There's always there's always one bad apple that ruins it for the rest of us. You gotta think outside the box. So here's a few autographs I got. Here's Ryan Dempster. He's an announcer. He's former Cub. You could always find him before the games, 45 an hour before the games. You could always find him entering the third base main entrance. That's where the players come in, and I'll always sign. No one ever asks. No one sees him. Jed Hoyer's a good signer. Just be respectful. People only wanted the stars. Very few people recognize Jed Hoyer, and he's more than happy. Lackey never signed, but I was lucky. Contreras, I got. I like to keep the ticket stub on top of the game. I got the autograph at just for it's good authentication. It just gives me peace of mind and reference. Contreras sign. I remember it was raining that day. I just stayed by the player parking exit with my umbrella, and there was only one other guy, and since there's one other guy with his little kid, and I let him go first. And I talked to him in my really bad Spanish from high school, and he was laughing, and I talked to his fiance back then, and they talked to me for 2.5 minutes. This was funny. I even asked, "Hey, can I have a ride?" And he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm just kidding. I should have asked for a ride, but just something stupid. Hey, take me to dinner." So Kyle Hendricks was a good signer. Here's Ben Zobrist, the best Cubs autographer of all time. Here's another Ben Zobrist. I must have 8 or 10. No, I have 10 Ben Zobrists. And the cool thing about Ben Zobrist is I remember a particular game. The Cubs lost 14-0. They even had position players pitch in that game. They even had Kyle Schwarber the backup catcher. They even had him be catcher. And the Cubs lost 14-0, and Ben Zobrist still came out and signed for 50 people. Best Cubs autographer of all time. I always like say thank you, Ben. Thank you for winning the World Series. And Ben would always say, "You're very welcome." And he'd look you in the eye, and sometimes he'd even shake your hand. He was just cool like that. And he was just a really good dude and role model. Good all around. He must have been a great teammate. Here's another Wilson Contreras. I remember that day I got his autograph. Like, he wasn't a superstar World Series champion yet, and there was maybe like two other people and like getting their autographs, and like they didn't even know who he was, and they just signed like the team ball and everything. There's Miguel Montero, and I got this after they won the World Series. And the funny thing about this is he wasn't signing, but I asked in Spanish, and I was born in Chicago. I'm Filipino American, but I look a little Hispanic. So when Hispanic players, they'll be, ¿Estás mexicano Venezuela? I'm like, no, soy Filipino, and they always laugh. But I asked Miguel Montero, Señor Montero, dámelo un autógrafo, por favor. And he looked at me in front of like 20 other people trying to get autographs. He's like, and he just signed mine, and that maybe like one other person, and that was it, because I asked in Spanish, and that helps a lot. Here's David Ross. That was very hard. This was after he won the World Series, but he went to our Dick's Sporting Goods in Niles, and he signed like for the first 250 people. All you had to do is buy a baseball from Dick's Sporting Goods. And I remember waiting. I remember I got there at 5:30 in the morning. There were already like 160 people in front of me. I counted, and I'm like, okay, those 160, they'll probably call their friends. They'll let another 50, so I'll probably still be safe. But if you want something, you gotta go early. That is the number one thing. If there is a meet and greet, you gotta go early. Don't come at the time they'll be there. You will never, 90% of the time, unless they're nobody, you won't get their autograph. Say what you want about Tom Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs. There's so many people like, oh, he's so greedy, all he cares about money. This guy, I have pictures on my phone. He will sign for anyone. He'll sign like he goes to every home game. I remember like even like 2 hours after the end of the game, if you just wait by the main building, he'll go to his office and he'll sign for everybody. He's the other thing too, like I only once in my life did I buy like premier seats behind home plate, because it was cold. It was like 18 degrees, and I got like the $1,000 tickets for like $90. And that stadium was so cold. It was only like 15 or 10% full. But I remember like Tom Ricketts, co-owner of the Cubs, will go up to like the 400 section, the nosebleeds, the cheap seats, and he'll give out little baseballs to like first-time fans or little kids. And then if you're patient, you ask, he'll sign. That's why I always bring a baseball. When you bring a baseball to Wrigley Field, keep it in a Ziploc bag. You don't want to get oil on it. That's why I think this one has some fading. But that's why you really want a big Cristal pen. But that's why you don't want a made in China baseball. But I remember like Ricketts numerous times going to the cheap seats, like the $20 seats. You know, even they were even like $5 when the weather is bad, and Ricketts would sign or do selfies. But autographs. These are just the baseballs I got at Wrigley Field, and I just keep it in an old attaché case. Oh, I went to World Series game 4 at cost. That's another story. There's secrets to getting tickets, not on black market. There's secrets when everything is sold out. this same ticket, this $300 ticket, at the time we could have sold it for like probably like close to $2,000 because of supply and demand. But like I told my friend, let's just go. But that's another story. But these are the baseballs I got at 2016 or 2017. But these are the baseballs from the World Series, Chicago Cubs. I got without ever paying a dime. I got in person. And those are just some of my secrets. Here's a couple other secrets. Always watch the price of baseballs. Like if you go to Cubs convention, they're gonna charge you like $30 a baseball. But I remember like Amazon once, the same baseball, official Major League Baseball, make sure they're labeled OMLB for official Major League Baseball. And Amazon once, they were on sale for like $10, so I bought 25. I should have bought more, but like, wow, like that was a great deal. They were just overstock. I bought them. I remember buying them like in February when the season wasn't even on, and they were just trying to clearance them out, move product. When you're getting baseballs, you gotta think outside the box. I remember I've gotten baseballs using Google Translate. I got Imanaga that year. I had pole position at Cubs convention. He was barely signing. Only because I asked in Japanese, thank you, Google Translate. And out of like hundreds and hundreds of people asking for autographs, begging and yelling, I asked in my best terrible Japanese for an autograph. And he looked at me. He's like, is this guy Japanese? And I just gave those pathetic puppy eye looks. I do, here's another thing I do, like Cubs convention, I just try to stand out different. Like, I'll wear a Cubs shirt that's like orange, but we'll say Cubs. I wear eye black and like an orange shirt in a sea of like blue Cubby uniforms and a sea of like white with blue pinstripes uniforms. The orange shirt subliminally stands out. It's something I learned in high school. I remember I asked my coach. I was in a running club because I was a very good distance runner. On weekends I'd race like anywhere from 5K to like half marathons. I won my age group. But I asked my coach, I'm like, Coach, why is our jersey like lime green? It's kind of a weird color. And he's like, Mark, because if two people cross the finish line at the exact same time, the official will always subconsciously, 99 out of 100, pick the person a weird color singlet, racing top. Like if you're wearing like a yellow shirt, it will always be the person in a boring gray shirt or blue shirt. If in convention, the one guy asking in Japanese when 100 other people are asking in English, the one guy wearing eye black, the one guy in pole position, the single guy wearing an orange Cub shirt, in a sea of people wearing blue or white with pinstripes, you're going to sign that guy, and it worked. You got to put everything in your favor, put every single odd in your favor. The thing that doesn't help me is players sign for little kids and hot women, and I'm neither of that. I'm not going to get a sex change. I'm not getting any younger. One other thing is, think about autographs from a baseball player's perspective. When they're nobody, when they're a rookie, they're gonna sign. When everybody wanted like Rizzo, and I'll go to a rookie, hey, Mr. blah blah blah, may I have your autograph? They'll be more than happy to. They're like, would you like me to sign in the sweet spot? I'm like, yes, because Usually you say that for the coach or for the superstars, and they're actually honored to be signing an autograph. It's humbling to them. I never sold autograph baseball. I'm not trying to be that one guy. Every time I autograph, there's always that like 1, 2, or 3 people that try to get players to sign 5 of the same thing. That's really pathetic. And it turns players off from autographs, and it's bad for the graphing community, the graphing family. Other thing is, don't be that parent who uses their kids to get autographs. I see the same guy, like, every time I go to Wrigley Field, I saw that same guy, like, uses 3 kids, each with, like, 2 baseballs each, and, like, it's really disheartening. I remember a security guard, he's like, hey, that's enough, you're ruining it for everybody. Even the players have noticed, and, like, notice you're that same father who's ruining it for all these other people who this might be their one time in their life, their one shot a year, or their life they ever made to Wrigley Field. They don't all live in Chicagoland. They might be living in another, across the country or out of the country, and you're ruining it for them. So that's it. Just be nice, be respectful. You gotta think out of the box. You gotta put in the time. Remember, this is all these autographs. I was like 10 years ago. I was so proud to be the the very small percentage of people on the earth, like 1 in 1 million, 1 in 2 million, 5 million people, 1 in 10 million people who are crazy like this, and to have individual autographs for every player on that team. But it's just stuff. I never resold one. You can't take it with you to the grave, but it makes me happy, and it's a good hobby to get out. It's better than blowing it on like cars that you're gonna finance for the next 16 months. But that's my tips and tricks. That's how I did it for the Cubs autographs. And thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. This is my longest video. Have a great day.